Hello and welcome to episode 36. This is going to finish out our intro series and we'll move on to more specific things after this. So we're going to cover two things in this video. The first will just be user input, which we've seen a little bit if you did any of the practice with the D&D app for the object-oriented programming series, and we will continue to work on that at some point. So the way to do user input when you were in Python 2.7 was the keyword raw input. But now we use just input. So I'll show this really quick. So prior to this, so for Python 2.7, you would use raw input like this. And now this is how we do it. So we'll just say that we're asking for someone's name. So we'll assign a name variable here. We'll do input here. And then this is the string that we want the user to see. Enter name, right? And so how this works is when you run this program, as we'll see here really quick, we'll just run 36.py. So when we run this, it actually stops the program while it waits on user input, so it won't continue. So see, we have this name. We enter our name, and then obviously we're not doing anything with that name, but that's the gist of it. So we can print. And we'll just print name here. Sorry, I've been using JavaScript again. So save, here we go, Dan, and then you see that it prints the name afterwards. So it's actually pausing the program while it's waiting on that user input. That's really about it to cover this one single feature. So now we'll move on to string formatting, which we can cover in the same video. So string formatting, there's a method called format, and it's just to make sure that a string displays as we expect it to display. Sometimes you're getting information that you didn't make or control from like a database or a user or something like that, and you're able to control it here with this format method. So the way we do this is we would have a variable, and we'll just use that same name example, so I'll just comment these out really quick so we're not getting any errors, and we'll just say name, and this time we'll enter it this way. Equals Dan, we'll assign it to that, and then we'll just have this name string here. And when you're assigning it here, you want these curly brackets. So these curly brackets are telling it to replace it with whatever we pass into that format method. And then we can just print, and we're going to do the name string here. We're going to do .format. And then we're going to tell it what to pass in for the curly brackets. So we want it to take this variable name up here, plug it in here, and push it into the string, name string.format, where these curly brackets are. So then we just save that, come down here, execute it, we see my name is Dan. So the other way to do this, of course, we could comment this out, kind of combine the two, right? And then we can do this one again, save. Execute this, enter name, we'll do Bob this time. We see my name is Bob, run the file again, go back to Dan, my name is Dan. So now we're taking that user input and we're actually making it dynamic with our output here. So we're able to format just like it says. There's a bunch of different things you can pass into the format method. If you're curious about them all, you can just type format method in and just go to like w3schools.com and look them up. There's a bunch of different ways that you can format any of this input values, any of these input values that you're getting from the user. So for this example, I'm just going to change this around a little bit to do a number just to kind of show you how it works. And we can say something like dollars, and then we'll just change this to num string here, and then we'll just pass something in. So we'll just put in a dollar amount here, and we'll just say 1,000 like that. And so for this one, we want to format it so that we have a comma in here for anything that's over, the hundreds once it hits the thousands. So one of the ways we can format that is that we can take this here and we want to pass any formatting values in here, not down here in the format method itself. So you'll start with a colon, and then you can put whatever. So we're going to put a comma in here, and what this will do is separate any like values over the hundredths. So once we hit the thousands, it will put a comma. So I'll just show that. So we want to comment this out so this part doesn't run when we run the code. We'll save here, and we want to pass dollar in here instead of name. Not the best name variable, but it works. And then we'll just come in from 36.py, and you see that it says I have $1,000, and it added that comma in there. So that's just one example of things you can do to format. You can also like align your results. You can do a plus sign to indicate if the result is a positive or a negative. You can use a minus sign for negative values. You can use a space to insert an extra space before positive numbers and a minus sign before negative numbers. So you can do all kinds of stuff like a fixed point number format. So if you're interested in all that stuff, again, just look up the format method, this method here, and you will be able to see all the different stuff you can do with it. But it's very, very useful for controlling data that you're getting, especially from like an API, a database, any external source where you're not inputting the data yourself, and making sure that it's all ready, sanitized, and in the right format for your use. You can also enter more than one value in here, so we'll just do like something like this. And then we'll do dollar and purchase in here, save and run. And you see that I have $1,000, I will buy a car. If we swap these, we're going to have issues because we can't do a comma in here, this format with the purchase. So I just wanted to show you that order does matter. Now if we save it, I have car dollars and I will buy 1,000. So make sure you have everything in the right order, especially with your formatting. You want to make sure that all of your variables are getting plugged in appropriately to this format string. And you can do more than 2 even, so you can just do whatever you need, and it's pretty cool, pretty useful method. And if you don't want to place them in order, you can also index the numbers. So you could do like index 0 here, and then it will take whatever's passed in at 0. Just to show that, we'll kind of do this again. Save, and now you see that we have the $1,000 in the right place, and the car is number 2 because we're plugging in the first index number, which is purchase, and we're taking dollar, which is index of 1, the second item, and plugging it in there. And you could also reuse these. So we could say I will buy a blank for 1. And now you see that we plugged in 1,000 multiple times. So that's all very useful stuff. And if you want to, you can also use key value pairs in here. So if we take this here, and we'll just cut it out, and we'll put it down here instead. So we have this key value pair, and then we'll cut this one out, place it down here as well. So we have this key value pair here. So now what we can do is we can take purchase and put it here, and we can put dollar and put it here. So kind of nice to shorten the syntax a little bit depending on how much stuff you have, and just whatever you find more readable. And then we're able to save that, run it, and it still executes perfectly fine. And this might actually make a lot more sense if you're, especially if you're doing a bunch, just so that you know exactly which variable it's referring to at what part of a string or whatever kind of output you're returning here, whatever you're printing or using format on. So that's very useful to have that option as well. And that's it for our intro to Python. From here on, we'll just start moving on to more specific things, and then we'll dive into some Python modules. So next up is just file handling, which is one of the things I use Python for the most, is just making files, opening files, saving data to files, manipulating that data, and then closing the file. Remember, we always want to close it, but you've made it through 36 videos so far, and you should have at least a broad overview of all of the different things you can do on a basic level with Python. And hopefully you get some practice, and if you want some practice, I can come up with some kind of things that you can build Just let me know in the comments if you need anything like that or practice on your own. But thanks for watching this far, and I hope you learned something.